Yeah. Is it open? No. I know. Is it open from last night? Must be.
So I'd like to get the meeting started. So if everyone could, excuse me, could mute themselves. We have an exciting meeting today, I believe. We have a bunch of global grants. We have information on our district grants. So I don't want to delay in getting us started because we could go for a while this morning. I want to remind everyone that our next meeting, and I'll remind you again later, our next meeting will be in October 3rd, and the grants meeting will be held in Ashland at the Stevenson Union at SOU, and the dinner will be held at the Rogue Valley Country Club. We're in the process of putting together all those plans. I just ordered lunch for the grants meeting, and Bruce has signed off on that, and so we'll continue to work on the dinner. I'd like to introduce now District Governor Bruce. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Allen, and I am the district governor for the 26-27 Rotary year. As Tim said, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I did want to leave you with one message. I do know that Rick Olson will be talking about some challenges and some goals and things like that, but I also wanted to drive home a couple of real quick points. First of all, some of my first aha moments were at a grants meeting. The passion that all of you bring to these meetings is very, very inspiring. I don't want you to forget that because it's important as we move forward. The speaker at the district conference, Michael Caruso, once said he had actually asked the troop, who are our customers for Rotary? And the collective answer was our members. And then he went on to talk about how maybe our prospective members are somebody we should consider as the true customers of Rotary. Well, I would argue that point. I would argue the point that it is the people that benefit from our grants, from our service, and the things that we do in our communities. Those are truly the people that we serve. As Rotarians, we believe in the motto, service above self, and I think that's where we get our inspiration.
If you're satisfied with the message, press.
Most of us have an elevator speech, and to be honest with you, they're normally not very good. And it's just how do we get our message in the time that it takes an elevator to get to the ground floor, and you've pretty much lost your audience at that point. Well, I would recommend that maybe our message should be Rotarians are a group of community leaders that experience fellowship and the service to others. It's that fellowship that we need to maybe understand is as important as it is the grants that we do. Today, what we're doing is amazing things. We have to remember it's not only what we do in the arduous work, but it's the fellowship that we experience with ourselves, with the people that we help, and the people in our clubs. And so those are the people that are inspired. Those are the people that we look as we go into. I know my passion brought me to the governor line. Many of you on this call are the reason for that. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for what we're doing. We're looking forward to a great year. Rick is going to probably bring everyone up to speed on that. But I personally want to really, really acknowledge the fact that the work that we do doesn't always fall on deaf ears. It truly does impact people in ways that we don't understand all the time. So please keep that in mind when we're doing what we're doing, because I am very honored to be part of this group moving forward. And with that, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much, Bruce. Looking forward to an excellent year. Now we hear from our illustrious DRFC, Rick.
Hey, welcome everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking time on a Saturday morning to do it. It's going to be an incredible meeting because today we're going to take a look at our global grant side of what we're doing. In a minute, we'll put up our org chart so you can see to make this side of the district work. There's actually 12 active committees that are working with 12 people leading it, and in some cases, like Polio Plus. Oh, there they are right there. We have additional people that are trying to do it. One thing I'll put in here at the start as we look at this chart is Trudy Overland. We have the right, oh, you put the right picture in. Good. Thank you very much there, Tim. So when we look on what we're doing today, we're over on the grant side, and we have Tim as the overall grant chair, and Cindy O'Neill will be kind of spearheading all the discussions today on the global grants. But we have PDD Chuck Root, who takes care of our global scholar, and Michelle Corradetti, who's our DGE, who does our Peace Fellowship chair. And we had this year, we were blessed to have three Rotarians, Trudy Overland, PDG Jim Polk, and Gary Manley jump in to help Tim and Hal on the reviewing of this year's grants that were out there for the district grant side. When we go over to the fundraising side, and that's something we're going to start pushing out next week now that we kind of have the grants in place, is the fundraising side. And Steve Mathis is our overall fund development there, and we're working on how we get some messages out to start raising the money to make the good happen. Jay Silverman is doing our Paul Harris Society. We're right now trying to update those from the June contributions that came in so that we know that we're properly recognizing people that are in the Paul Harris Society. We have Kirk Brown's going to look at the annual fund share for things we can do to expand that. Chuck Miller stepped up as part of a group of 4 to do the Polio Plus. He'll be the overall chair because we can only give one name to Rotary International, but Monica Wilton, Fred Whitcop, and Sherry Newman all came forward. Jane Falls did an incredible job over the last few years, and she goes, I don't know how we'll do it with one. So we did an interview and found there were 4 people interested, and they were all willing to work together. And then we have PDG Jim Polk, who obviously will be coming forward to work as we look at the endowment and major gifts chair, which is a huge component in what we do out there. So when we look at the year coming up, I talked to Bruce. Bruce has actually raised it up because Bruce wants to see us really go beyond. I've put a goal in there for next year of a $1.4 million campaign as a basic campaign, and that's raising $725,000 for our annual fund, $175,000 for Polio Plus, and $500,000 in our endowment fund. Now, our endowment ones is one, it takes special Rotarians that come forward that want to give money on the endowment. So those are ones we kind of work in progress. The one we really focus on and try and get in front of people is the annual fund share. The 725, we had a little over 550 this year. So it's a step up. And there's a reason. These aren't just pulled from the air. They reflect what we're going to need moving forward to keep us doing the great humanitarian work that we're trying to do. And it starts right here, right now with each one of us. If everybody on this call can go back to their clubs and remind their foundation chairs that they do a great job, but we got to keep it in front of everybody on an ongoing basis. The reality is that this year we put together 44 district grants, so is in what we call our block grant. We had to get through last year's the DDF things, reports coming in. There were benchmarks that Tim and Hal and Cindy and Julie Gichero worked on very hard to get us, so we had a green light to be able to get our money. Our concern was with all those issues, would we get our money released early? We got notice last night that the money's been released. It's being wire transferred to our account. So we have the 44 district grants that we'll start doing, but that'll require, before a club gets their money, they will have had to met all the requirements for the training, the MOU, the bank statements that need to come in. If they had an outstanding report, their club has to have paid their dues to RI. So Hal Kibbe does an incredible job of drilling down the detail in the spreadsheets that are up on DeckDB to show that where clubs are, who's missing what. But before that, the money gets out on the district grant side, all of those requirements have to be met. So when we look at what we need out there, we figure that for us to have that money on that side, we also then today will be discussing the global grant side. And the global grant, there were 2 grants that didn't quite have everything put together by the March deadline that are now in place that are rollover grants that we will be looking at today. They're locked, loaded, have met all the requirements. And then I believe there's 4 new ones that we're going to look at. but we have a total pool today of about $152,000 that we have available to us. We thought it was 143, but the endowment earnings that are allocated to us actually gave us a surprise of an extra 10,000. So today we'll be looking at that. The idea is that if we can actually get people to give to the annual fund share and we can reach our goals, it'll allow us to increase the number of grants that we do in the future. If we all remember, we get about half the money back in 3 years that's in the annual fund share. And if we want to be in the neighborhood of 300 to 350,000 that we want to be able to fund in grants going forward between our global and our district grants, we need about 700,000 to make it happen. So that's the goal we're going to go after. We actually had 1,403,000 this year that we got. Bruce says, let's make it 1,007,000. Of course, he's competitive coming from the club where Dave Reese was. Dave had the all-time high at 1.6. So I agreed with him. You know, unless you reach for a high goal, you won't get there. But that goal really breaks down for getting money to all the areas. The endowment, we're going to start doing some education there. There are some members that have spent a lot of time and have done this in the past. We're going to look at those that are doing estate planning, what they consider putting Rotary as one of their top 3 things that they would have in there. We're going to start educating people on that are 72 and a half that have the required minimum distributions they got to do out of pensions. If you do that straight from your pension to Rotary, let's say, you get 100% of that deduction. So there are avenues that we haven't really brought to the forefront in the last couple of years that we are going to do. We are working small areas. If there are people that reached out to us and said, I would like to consider my state doing things, we have experts, the Rotary International staff that can help us do that. So there are a lot of things that we're going to be doing there. I know in a minute, Leanne's going to talk. For those of you that don't know, she's our Regional Rotary Foundation coordinator. And so she's going to be really helping bring the message down from RI, but also work with us and other districts on our needs going up. But she's going to talk about every Rotarian every year. And that's where it starts as a minimum. If we can all work with our clubs and get everybody to give something and allow the clubs to be every Rotarian every year in what they do, it will help grow us. But to that end, we need that in front of people. The magic of Rotary doesn't happen without us helping fund it. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll be working with Steve and we'll get all our subcommittee chairs out there and we'll start messaging. But anytime along the way, if you have any questions or your club needs a foundation presentation, just reach out. The team's dedicated to go around and help do that. And that's something very important to us. We have to spend as much energy raising the money as we do trying to put the grants out. So with that, Tim, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Rick. I want to mention before I forget that if you have a change with your email and you'd like to be added to the grants team email list, please put that in the chat box. So we can have that. Or if you'd like to be removed, you can tell us that too. Questions can go into the chat box as well. We have the chat box being monitored. Along with what Rick said, raising money for the things that we do. We put a lot of focus on what we do in Rotary. Rotary International President Yinka wants us to think also not only about what we do, but what is the impact of what we do. And the impact is what we see that happens in our communities. So I have a thought for you, and RRFC Leanne is going to embellish on this. Is there a link between giving to the Rotary Foundation and membership? Lee?
Thanks, Tim. Good morning, everybody. Great to spend my Saturday morning with a bunch of awesome Rotarians. And as Rick and Tim have mentioned already, I am now working at the zone level, which is wonderful for me personally, but it also gives our district kind of first place access to what's going on from our senior leaders back down to the district level. So I want to share a couple things here, kind of instill some thoughts maybe based on what Governor Bruce mentioned, what Rick has talked about with the goals for the Rotary Foundation Committee this year, and what Tim is kind of going to be leaning more into throughout the rest of this morning. There are 30 districts in what we call the Big West, and that's basically half of the United States. And so we took in that body, if you will, there are almost 1,600 Rotary clubs with representing 1,000, or excuse me, I can't read my own slide, 60,000 Rotarians. We captured 5-year history from those 1,600 clubs, and which includes specifically here some banner reports. Most of you aren't familiar with that, and then looking at their district designated fund balances over that 60-month period. And we didn't do any rounding on that, just to make it pretty. But what the data told us was, and this goes back to Tim's first question, is there honestly a link between giving to any of the programs of the Rotary Foundation and membership? And in fact, what that 60 months of data showed us is that foundation participation, giving to any of the programs of the Rotary Foundation, and membership retention are not separate problems. It shows that where clubs participate and donate to any of the programs of the Rotary Foundation, so that's polio, annual fund, endowment, or specific grant, membership is being retained there. In districts where 25% or more of the clubs do not donate anything to any of the programs of the Rotary Foundation, their membership decline is on a steeper slope. So, big graphic here, but if we, again, what the data showed was, if we look at non-giving clubs, there's a strong relationship, correlation between non-giving clubs and membership decline. So what that means is year over year, as the number of non-giving clubs goes up, the membership goes down. Strong relationship there. You can read down that column. If we just are tracking annual fund per capita giving, how many Paul Harris Society members you have. Rick mentioned every Rotarian every year, which is a minimum $25 donation to the Rotary Foundation. There's a strong correlation of those who use Rotary Direct, so that giving is automatic. And then you see moderate, looking at how many sustaining members we have, those that donate $100 or more. And then that last one with donor participation. So what you can take away from this is where we started with Tim's question is there a relationship giving to the Rotary Foundation and a decline in membership? And there definitely is, looking at lots of data here. So what's going on in our district? So I pulled up some of that over the last 3 years, so 23, 24, 25, the number of non-giving clubs in our district has gone up. We 3 years ago in 23, there were 5 clubs that not a single member gave anything to the Rotary Foundation. In 24, it went up to 6. And last year, it went up to 8. The total members associated with that in 23, there were 60 members who didn't give anything. Then the next year, 100 members. And then last year, there were 130 Rotarians in our district that did not give anything to any of the Rotary Foundation programs. On average, our giving level remains about 56 to 58% of the Rotarians, about 2,300 Rotarians in our district, and about half of us give at least $25 to the Rotary Foundation. And I want to celebrate, there are 3 clubs that consistently are 100% givers to one of the programs of the Rotary Foundation, so to Annual Fund, to Polio Plus, etc. So that can be done. In fact, in the Big West, that whole western half of the United States I referred to, there are districts that are 100% districts. So it can definitely be done. And I think my takeaway from this is, and it's asking for money, but, and there's a lot of stories, I'm sure, as to why people are unable or don't contribute to the Rotary Foundation. programs. But to me, we have some more storytelling to do. So Bruce and Rick, I think that's our challenge and our team's challenge, that we need to develop some strong stories and help people understand the power of the Rotary Foundation so that they do want to support those outcomes, those grants, and the capacity building that we do in the communities that we serve.
So Leanne, would you mention, Rick mentioned EREY? What is that?
So EREY, you know how Rotary loves acronyms, stands for Every Rotarian, Every Year. So there, you can actually, your club can be recognized if every member donates at least $25 to one of the programs of the Rotary Foundation over the course of the Rotary year. I think it's a great place to start. I mean, we can talk about, being bequest, or we can talk about being a major donor, but those things come over time. Definitely. I think engaging Rotarians and having them understand the why we give to the annual fund. So we can fund our own district grant projects and our own global grant projects, and showing them results of what we do every year. I think the value is in that. So on the West Coast, my team and I are going to be launching an Every Rotarian Every Year campaign, kind of providing a toolkit to districts to do that, should they choose to participate in that. You heard Rick mention it. So basically it boils down to supporting the clubs, telling the Rotary stories so that people engage and will then contribute at least $25 over the course of this Rotary year to the Rotary Foundation. And it's a great, easy way to give. In fact, you can do it through Rotary Direct. And as Bruce and Rick have said, let's set our goals high. Let's absolutely reach for the stars here. We got to have our moonshot, because this is really important. And circling back around, Kelly Hill, who's the district membership chair, was with Tim and I in Reno when we went over this data with about 125 Rotarians from the West Coast. And there's something in it for us, because there's a direct connection between our Rotarians feeling engaged and that they truly are a part of this great organization that for the second time in history is trying to eradicate an infectious disease, polio. And we can do that all together and then celebrate that and a lot more. So any more questions from anybody, Tim?
I don't see any right now.
So
I have a quick question.
lot to process. We can share the slides, but the takeaway is, please consider there is a data-driven, strong relationship between a member giving to the Rotary Foundation, feeling connected, and staying in Rotary.
Was there a question?
Somebody
quick
asked
question.
about, was there, an age? No, we haven't broken it down. We did break it down regionally. There is definitely a regional influence on this as well.
The reason I was asking is because I wondered that some people may be more motivated by local level giving and less by international giving, and I find particularly with younger members that's more of a motivation. So, and maybe in terms of some of that district messaging, that might be something to emphasize, is how those contributions can contribute to local projects as well.
We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes.
And you are spot on, and I don't mean to hijack this because I get all excited about it, but I think we do need to be considered that. As I said earlier, I mean, these are black and white numbers, but we know there's stories behind there as why people don't give. It might be that the 8 clubs here, all those members are donating, but it's all going to their club foundation. So we want to talk about that, how the club foundation and the Rotary Foundation work together. You mentioned about our younger Rotarians. Somebody clearly brought up, it said, I've got huge school debt that I'm trying to pay off. I'm not able to do $100 a year to the Rotary Foundation, but maybe $2 a month. So that's where this Every Rotarian Every Year campaign may match for people. So thank you for bringing that up. And Tim, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you for that, Leanne. You can tell she's excited. So, Hal Kibbe is our stewardship chair. He does a yeoman's job. He's just fantastic. We really appreciate how he keeps us on the straight and narrow, a lot, not only with stewardship, but also with shepherding district grants. So Hal, I'm going to turn it over to you. You're muted, Hal.
Good morning, everybody. One thing about the stewardship report, I try to update the stewardship report daily. It's changing very rapidly this time of year, and I don't always get it updated every day, so the data may be a day or two behind sometimes. What I'm going to present today was updated yesterday morning, so things could have even changed since yesterday morning. So far, we still need 48 final reports from the 2526 grants before we can start sending money out to the clubs. There's one report that a club has not submitted for district review. I've noticed that happens sometimes. Anybody can submit the report for district review. It doesn't have to be the club president. So if you haven't heard from us recently, you might want to check and make sure that your club has actually submitted the report for district review. There's one report that's been submitted to the district and we haven't approved it yet. And so far from the 2526 grants, 15 grants have been completed. And so those clubs are ready to go in terms of their district grants and in terms of their final reports. So far for 26, 27, we have 44 applications that have been approved by the Rotary Foundation, so we can move forward with those 44 grants. As Rick mentioned, they just released the money, so I suspect that we'll be getting the money this coming week. We have 10 treasurers or district grant authors that have not yet done the district grant training. I don't track who does the district grant training. What I track is who has passed the quiz. So that means there's 9 treasurers that haven't done it. Somebody finished it yesterday afternoon. There are 25 clubs, not with global grants that need applications, but with district grant applications that still need to pay RI dues. And there are 31 clubs as of yesterday morning that still need to pay district dues. So all that has to be done before the club is qualified and before we will approve the 26, 27 grants. There are 4 overdue reports showing in the Grant Center. The first one has been there for a long time, and I think we just really need to get it cleaned up. I don't know what's going on with that particular one, but Eugene Metro has had it there, and I know they've worked on it, but something needs to be done to get that one out of the system because it's been sitting there way too long. Global Grant 20, the Motion Medical Center grant, all is showing is that the report is not complete. Ditto with the next one on the First Community Hospital. And on the last one, the remote learning for Ukraine veterans, nothing is showing as to what the problem is. It's just showing that the report is overdue.
So how do these overdue reports affect us as a district?
Well, if we have too many overdue reports, then we get on the bad boys list and we won't get any grant money. So the stewardship department at TRF is tracking some of our grants, not all of them. And it's the ones that they're tracking that, and I think it's 75%, Leanne could correct me. I think we have to be 75% compliant or they won't give us, anybody in the district, additional global grant money.
Yeah, I think the number's 70%, Hal, but we're obviously close.
We're close. So, and we must be that compliant or we wouldn't have gotten our district grant funds. So I'm showing that of the 4 that we show as overdue, 3 of them are being tracked by the stewardship department at TRF. So we really, really need to get those grants cleaned up. In terms of DDF this year, the annual fund share was $228,000. Was $228,225. As Rick mentioned, the earnings on the endowment this year was $44,000. Historically, We've been running about 34,000 on that, 35,000. So we had a good surprise this year and had an increase of about $10,000 in terms of earnings on the endowment. We had 11,000 that we could carry over from previous years for a total of $283,880 that we had in terms of total DDF. Of the 283,000, we spent $131,783 on district grants, which means we have 152,000 and some change available for global grants this year. And I think that's all my slides, Tim.
Right. Does anybody have any questions for Hal? You could raise your hand electronically or put it in the chat. Did you see anything? All right. Seeing none, we'll move along. So one of the things that's unique about our district is that we are very democratic. We are the only district in the Rotary world where the grant attendees, all the Rotarians who show up at our grants meetings, like all of you here today, are the grant committee, and you get to either say yes or no on a given global grant request for their district designated funds to move their grant forward. Approval is given either by majority hand or electronic vote. That's on our foundation manual. So if you're on this Zoom conference call, then you are a voting member of the District 5110 Grants Committee. We're going to talk about global grants, but I wanted to share some information with you before we actually get into our global grants. So you can see that this is globally in the Rotary world, that there were 463 district grants. That's
Tim, you have a question.
okay.
Paul Spain.
Go ahead, Paul.
So sorry to be kind of a lackey here on this. Going back to Hal's stewardship thing, mentioning some clubs or some outstanding reports that were not there. Would if a club has an existing grant that they're not in compliance with the stewardship, that to provide those reports, does that impact their ability to continue to apply for grants?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So back to this chart, the district grants, that's when we take all of our district grant requests and put them into our district's grant. It's called the district block grant. So there's 500 and some districts in the world. 463 of them have applied for DDF for district grants within their district. So, and that's for a total of $29 million. There were 1,800 global grant requests last year. So 32,000 came out of the World Fund. You know, if you give $1, 50 cents goes to the World Fund. That's what comes back in a match for our DDF. So total funding for global grants was 112 million. We don't have the total number for district response grants, but we do know there was one in Washington and one in Colorado. One was for flooding and the other one was for
Tropical storm.
tropical storm. So they applied for a $25,000 grant and got it. Leanne?
Well, I'll go back to that global grant stat. You know, we're all very well aware that last Rotary year was the 5th year of the new trustee policy where districts had to spend all their district designated funds. That was 5 years old. And that resulted in those 1,800 global grants that went in. That was a 25% increase over the previous year, which was also a record breaker.
And then the bottom line you see is something called programs of scale. That was a program that was started 2 or 3 years ago. And that it's a grant that's proposed to the Rotary Foundation for $2 million. A district does not have to put any money in. If it's approved and then it goes through a rigorous approval process, then $2 million is awarded for that particular project. That programs of scale grants, is being reviewed now by the Rotary Foundation. So we don't know if that will move forward or not. Well, once we get that information, we'll share it with you what that might look like. This is global grants by area in the world. So you can see that disease prevention and treatment globally was by far the largest number of global grants written. Water and sanitation is second, economic development, and then basic education and literacy is closely behind. Maternal and child health, and then you can read the others. But I thought that was just interesting because here is Zone 27, our brother sister zones or districts in Zone 27, and what we think is important. And you can see that water and sanitation was number one in our zone, with disease prevention coming in second. I just thought that was interesting. And if you look at the chart on the left, you can see by Rotary year the number of global grants that came out of the zone. If you look at 2021, there was 116 global grants. That was COVID. And then you can see that it has again started to build again with 94 grants last year. So I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to share that with you. Just for passive education, if you don't know what a zone is, hopefully this cursor won't make you sick. So in Washington, there's 4 zones.
Districts.
Or excuse me, districts. I appreciate that. Including Vancouver Island. And in 5080, it includes a bit of British Columbia. So we do in our zone have 2 international districts. But our zone encompasses Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, about half of Nevada, and then a third or so of Northern California, and the Sierras there, as you can see. So if somebody mentions the zone, you can see now kind of picture our zone, and then you can see Zone 26 goes down and clear into Texas, and this part in Colorado up here, that's Nebraska. So there's a little piece. So you can see when Leanne says our 2 zones are practically a half the United States, kind of gives you a picture of that.
Now, Tim, can I add something to that? I mean, you're looking at that map, maybe many of you for the first time, and you're like, who did this? It's just like districts are brought together based on the number of Rotarians in a geographic area. The same thing happens with zones. They are trying to capture basically an equal number of clubs / Rotarians in an area. And the importance of that is each of those zones is responsible for electing a director every other year that represents us on the Rotary International Board of Directors. So there is no sense to how they do it. I will let you know that because we're losing membership in North America, the lines have been redrawn again. And as of July 1 of 2028, we will be picking up 3 more districts in Zone 27 to the east of us, and that'll bring us to 17 districts in our zone, and 16 will remain in Zone 26. And again, it has to do with the number of Rotarians, number of clubs, broken down by district.
Thanks. So for global grants, there's $52,097.28 up today, and we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to turn this over to Cindy and Julie.
Thanks, Tim. Well, hello again, everybody, and thank you for attending the meeting. And thank you also to the grant authors who have submitted grants for approval today. We have 7 grants from 5 different clubs in countries like, well, the countries included are Uganda and Mexico, Nepal, Armenia, Ukraine, and Peru. And our areas of focus include WASH in schools, literacy, disease prevention, and peace building. You know, you might think, gosh, only 5 clubs are participating today for 7 grants all over the world. But really, these clubs are part of 4 consortiums that have been formed in our district, and I'm really proud of this development. It started in Eugene and then went to Southern Oregon and Northern California, and then it went up to Corvallis and Albany. And the last consortium that's formed is here in Central Oregon. And I love these consortiums because it gives clubs that have small budgets, small membership, low expertise in global grant writing and participation, an opportunity to learn all about how these work. But the real thing that's important, I think, is for lead clubs in the consortiums that are leading these global grants, convene meetings to help educate the other clubs and members, but also offer opportunities to serve internationally. Because when you serve on a global grant or a local district grant, when you serve in person and come face to face with the recipients of our work, you're changed for life. And it's an opportunity that's really rare and it's hard to find. So you give our members, a gift to service to others. And they will donate to the Rotary Foundation also for the rest of their lives. So thank you for all the clubs that have formed consortiums and the grant writers and consortium leaders that bring our members and clubs together to work on these global grants. It's really a great development in our district. We have 7 projects, global grant projects to consider today. And we'll go through them one by one. But before we get started with that, I wanted to give you a couple of reminders. Well, let me back up a little bit. So you heard from Hal Kibbe that we initially received and estimated that we would have $143,000 of DDF available for global grants. And we had $163,000 worth of 7 global grants that came forward with DDF requests, 20,000 more than what we thought we would have. So to be fair, the executive team of the grants committee, the foundation committee, decided to ask all of you, including the ones that are coming forward for reapproval, to reduce your DDF request by 12.5%. And you've all done that. Thank you for doing that. You worked hard on it. You looked at your budgets. You talked between yourselves, between the clubs, and looked at your club cash. But something really interesting happened, and I wanted to share this too. And that is that some of the grant writers, project leaders went back to the host clubs in the countries of which we were going to serve, and asked them if how much they could contribute to meet this need, and if there was any international DDF, any host district DDF available, and they found it. This is great because this stretches our own District 5110 DDF that we can offer up for global grants and allows more clubs to do more projects and more service around the world. So thank you to those grant writers and project leaders who talk to their host clubs. That's really great work. It happened in Ukraine, I believe. Joe Vincent, way to go. And it also happened in Uganda with Paul Spain and the personal relationship that he has with the host club. So you'll see those numbers and the effect it had on being able to reduce our own DDF requests. So hats off for all of you who worked on that. Another reminder, Some of you have completed the Global Grant Management training in the RI Learning Center. Thank you very much. It's a requirement for receiving DDF from our district. At the point, the last moment you'll have to complete this, which is not ideal, is before you ask for our DRFCC, Rick Olson, to approve your submittal to Rotary International for your grant. If you did the grant management seminar last year, you only need to do the refresher. If you've done it within the last 4 months because you are submitting a new grant, hats off to you. Thank you for doing that. Please complete all 10 modules. So, last reminder. Some of you are loading your global grant projects in the RI Grant Center prior to this meeting. And we understand some of you have a very tight timeline because of the nature of the grant and the partnerships you formed perhaps with NGOs and the host clubs. And that's okay, but please do not enter the DDF request that's unapproved from our district. It also ruins the accounting that how Kibbe has to do for all of us to account for how much DDF is now available for approval today. So please, if you do enter early your grant in the RI Grant Center, do not enter the DDF. Okay. So today we're going to look at 2 grants that were previously approved, which could not be funded because of some deadlines that RI had for DDF allocated to our district. Complicated thing I'm not going to get into, but they're going to be presented today, represented. And then we have 5 grants. Some of the global grants that need more club cash. And what we're going to do today, in fairness, is to go through all of the grants, approve their DDF requests, and then go back after you've heard from all the different grants. And if club cash is needed, we'll make the requests at that time after all the grants have been reviewed. So I really want to thank Julie DiCiro. And I encourage all of us to give her a sitting down standing ovation for all her work on global grant management since I asked her to help me during my governor year, which was 2020. So thank you very much, Julie, for your dedicated service. Julie is an expert and she's here today to kick off the meeting. Thanks for your help, Julie. I'm sure I'm going to be learning much more from you in the coming years. Julie, take it away.
Good morning, and I just wanted to thank you, everyone. That's really sweet. This morning, I wanted to just reiterate something that if you're new to this meeting and you weren't attending last year, we were under, as Leanne mentioned and Cindy mentioned, a 5-year deadline to spend DDF. And so we really attempted to spend it on global grants because we knew that that was the priority for our district was to support global grants. We made every effort to do that. These 2 grants in front of you right now, through no fault of the grant author, ran into some technical difficulties and could not get these things approved. However, the DDF for both of these grants was approved last year. But because it wasn't the grants themselves were not approved, we had to reallocate that money to other uses. So they're coming back today. Both of the authors are on the call, Mark and Bob Mark Allen from the Lithia Springs Club in Ashland, and Bob Nickel from the Eugene Club. But this is the one he's presenting is actually the Eugene Consortium grant, but his club is the lead on it. And so they need to be considered first because in the past when this has happened, we've just come back to this committee and gotten the DDF reallocated. So I guess the first thing I would ask from the for Mark and Bob, Mark, could you just give a short summary of this grant and what it would do in Mexico? And then Bob, again, just a short summary so that people that were not participating last year will have some idea of what they're about. So Mark, would you go first, please?
Sure. This grant is actually part of a cohort of grants that have transpired over the last decade between the Noon Club primarily and off and on from the Ashland Lithia Springs Club, working with the host Rotary Club in Guanajuato. And each of them, and this one in particular, address communities that are basically clusters of homes, no streets, one school, one church, typically. In this case, that's the situation. About 125 people that are reliant on spring water, which is they can't store and they can't assure continuous potability. And so that's what this is attempting to address. It's a very rural community. Our club visited the site, met with the host club, met with the community leaders, uh, established that there was a good relationship there and interaction and participation, and that the project is also supported by the local utility agency, which is actually doing the engineering and installation. So it's a very professional operation. It has a history of success, and it was something that our club wanted to engage with.
Thanks, Mark. Bob, can you go over just real quickly this the cervical cancer?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick correction. Our consortium in the Eugene Springfield area is called the South Valley Rotary Grants Committee. It was not involved with this particular grant. We had funding from my club, the Rotary Club of Eugene, funding from the Airport Rotary here in Eugene as well, and Petaluma Valley Rotary Club in California. So with the change in budget, our particular grant focuses on cervical cancer. It is a cancer that can be prevented by one shot, one vaccination, and it can be easily for women who have not been vaccinated if they're examined regularly and screened. It can be precancerous lesions can be easily treated and be curative. Right now in Uganda, cervical cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths. When women present in Uganda for diagnosis, 80% of those women are too advanced to be easily treated for their cervical cancer. So we have been working with the district health officer within the Tororo district to improve. Right now, we're focusing on early detection and treatment of cervical cancer in women. And so our focus is on training other providers in that area to do the appropriate screening and early treatment methodology, as well as to institute what's called a self-collection kit. So this has been a game changer in the world of screening for cervical cancer. These self-collection kits, women can collect the kit themselves, and then it is treated, and then it's tested later for the human papillomavirus. And if it's positive, they would need to go ahead for further screening and treatment. So by using the self-collection kits, it makes many more women have access to screening. And so I'll stop there.
So Cindy, are we voting on these separately?
Yes, we need to do that.
Okay.
So,
And do you have a poll ready
yes,
for that? Or I guess, are there any questions from the audience first about what these two grants entail?
we also need motions and seconds after.
Okay.
If we get if we could get a motion to approve first.
I move that we approve clean water for El Potrero, Mexico.
Okay, thanks.
30,500 DDF.
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, Hal. Now, open for discussion on the clean water. Anybody have questions?
Nothing in the chat.
All right, we'll post a poll and hopefully you'll see it and you can vote. We're getting there. So just vote on.
This isn't right.
No.
Wrong poll.
Yeah. That's not right, you guys.
That was from our last meeting. We asked people to prioritize what was most important to them.
Exactly.
We'll get there.
The Mobleys, the Mobleys obviously didn't plan this.
Are we able to approve both of these today or just one or the other?
No, well, we're going to vote on all of them.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
we're able to approve both of these today. These are within
Thank
the
you.
application.
Okay, so this would be approved DDF 1. So that's the only one we're voting on at this point.
This is the water project, correct?
Correct. Okay, so you can show the results. Oh, it's 100% yes. So that DDF is approved. So somebody want to make a motion on the cervical cancer grant?
I move that we,
I move we approve the cervical cancer grant.
Was that Paul?
Yes.
Thanks,
Hello.
Paul.
Hi.
I'll second it.
Who was that?
Eileen Sigler.
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank Eileen.
Questions, comments?
I have a question. Just a point of clarification here. I have two grant applications from Eugene. I've got one that is for peace building, and I've got one for the cervical cancer. Why do we have two?
Because they applied for two.
So one club can apply for two grants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank
and
you.
also just to be reminded that these are holdovers from last year. So these are grants that were approved last year for in the 25-26, but weren't able to be completed due to technical difficulties out of the control of the people that wrote the.
I understand that. I know that it was pre-approved, but I just want to be certain I'm clear that I've got two of them here because that will certainly impact my vote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Eric, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just a point of clarification. This project focuses on screening and doesn't involve vaccination. Is that correct?
Bob?
Right. Our initial project involved working with girls to keep them in school by menstrual care training to improve the rates of vaccination. Because of the budget changes, we are now focusing solely on screening women, where the more bangs for our buck, so we can identify people who have early treatment, early disease, and then treat them. And this is potentially curative. So this particular grant, it does not involve the component of working with girls and improving vaccination rate.
Thank you.
And this was how this particular grant achieved a 12.5% reduction in DDF, which they achieved. So, and I forgot to mention that all 7 grants were six grants were able to reduce, and we now have enough money. I mean, anyway, we met our target of reducing $20,000 off these grants. So all of these grants can be funded with the available DDF that we have. And we have a remainder of about $11,500, just to clarify.
Thank you, Cindy. So any further questions on this grant? So we're going to vote for number 2, approve DDF 2. So please vote. So 94%, this grant DDF is approved. All right, moving on, Cindy.
So moving on to the new grants for the 26-27 year. We have another grant proposed by the Eugene area. I'm not sure if this is consortium or if this is from Eugene Metro. Andrew?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for hearing me out. This is actually from our consortium, that is the South Valley Rotary Grant Consortium. And it is our turn, that is Eugene Metro's turn this year to propose a global grant. This is a Washington Schools grant with the Dulakil Rotary Club in Nepal. We have a long history of working with Dulakil. We have done club grants and district grants with them. And while this is our first, Washington Schools grant, it is not the first Washington Schools grant for Dulakil. In fact, our counterpart in Nepal, Ranjiv Shrestha, is the ambassador for Washington Schools in Nepal, and so he has done a number of Washington Schools grants with other schools. The problem, of course, as you know, is the lack of adequate safe water, sanitation, hygiene in government schools. The fact that there are no separate toilet facilities for girls. There are no provisions for, menstrual hygiene management. The result is a high rate of absenteeism of adolescent girls who are reluctant, to go to school during their menstrual periods. In this particular case, we're talking about a secondary school, the Sri Janata Kalika Secondary School, with 259 girls, 284 boys. And the plan here calls for, on the girls' side, for 6 urinals. Yes, there is such a thing as urinals for girls. 3 toilet stalls, a disability toilet, 2 handwriting stations, and very importantly, an incinerator for sanitary products. On the boys' side, the numbers are the same: 6 urinals, 3 toilet stalls, 1 disability toilet. Oh, in both cases, I should also add 2 hand washing stations, because this is really, this is not just an infrastructure project. This is a program to teach proper hygiene, from hand washing, regular hand washing, to disposal of sanitary pads, with the goal of eliminating diseases, waterborne, and also, of course, very importantly, improving school attendance. Now, we did, as requested, cut our DDF and World Fund by 12.5%. At this point, I would ask to have the cut restored. The cut was slightly over $4,000. And I would very much like that cut to be restored. One of the reasons being that we had a preliminary review by the program officer for Nepal, and they threw in an extra wrinkle, and that was, well, what about toilets for the staff? So it might very well happen that we have to then add a toilet both for male and female staff. And in light of that, as I said, I think we definitely need to restore that cut.
And so to be clear, it wasn't $4,000 of District 5110 DDF. It's $2,250. But with the World Fund match, it approaches 4,000. So you're requesting $2,250 from the remainder of the DDF.
Correct.
Tim, how do you want to handle this? Do we do this at the end? Do we?
Well,
we haven't talked about this. Well, you did send out the letter to all the project leaders, correct?
Yes. So what we need to calculate is if we add the 22, what was it?
2250.
2250 back in, how does that impact the amount of club cash needed? So that takes it to 18,000 is what the request is for 5110 DDF.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, does that impact the amount of cash you need?
Um, no.
Okay, so you're just requesting an additional $2,200 in DDF to restore your grant.
Exactly.
So that would increase your budget
It would. Yeah.
With the
by,
club cash that they have here, Tim, it would be $19,000 of a request for DDF, and they only originally asked for 18.
No, wait
But
a
they
minute.
increased their club cash to help meet their budget.
Yeah,
Another
but
technique clubs used.
all I'm talking about is the 18,000.
I know. I'm just pointing out that you have plenty of club cash here to meet the 2-to-1 match request.
okay.
We have a question from Bruce Abernathy. Tim.
Well,
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I want to be clear. This is my first time. I think I went to one in person, but this is the first time actually on a grant. And Paul Spain will be talking about our Central Oregon Global Grants Consortium. So part of it is this is our first time. We don't necessarily know how much detail and how much information needs to be provided. I think you'll obviously attest that we provided probably more than we needed, and our maybe in fact be pretty close to be submitting to RI. I think one of the questions that I have and sort of a concern that I have is that it seems to me that a number of these proposals, I'm not necessarily talking about this proposal. WASH is great. We have a WASH proposal, but they don't necessarily have all the information I would have expected at a district level review. And so I guess my question is, what happens if there's not information? I mean, what's the timeline by when whatever proposals get moved forward today? When do they actually submit them to RI? How does the committee know whether the information that's missing today is there? And I guess there's a part of me that says, I'm not really supportive of, I totally understand where you're coming from, Andrew, but I'm not supportive of bumping up that budget again, because what that's going to do is that's going to deplete all DDF for any proposals that might come in October. And from my perspective, I'm not supportive of that. That's just me personally.
Can I speak to your question first, Bruce, and then Andrew? We request that these pre-applications be made at least 1 month prior to the meeting. That gives, well, in this case, Julie and I time to talk with the project leader about the details that aren't evident in the description and to try to improve the description so that we think that we try to figure out if the project is really going to be fundable at RI once it's submitted to the Grant Center. Also, we ask the project leaders to meet with their grant management officer, submit the pre-application, and ask what they're missing prior to this meeting. Now, things have been very confusing and rushed this year in the transition and in the lack of enough DDF for all these wonderful projects. But Andrew did submit his pre-application to the grant management officer and got very valuable information that we're now aware of prior to the meeting, which is my request to all of you is to contact your grant management officers that cover your region and make sure you have a fundable grant. In light of that, the response to Andrew's grant was quite substantial and has changed some of the things that they definitely need in this grant, like a bathroom for staff. Your team also was a beneficiary of this memo from RI, so you could improve the details in your grant. So anyway, that's where we are. Okay, Andrew, please do respond to Bruce.
I can only repeat what you said. I mean, we did get a very detailed response. So, I mean, we have done everything that we could possibly do at this stage of the application process. In fact, I've already, in response to what we heard from the program officer, I already contacted my counterpart in Nepal and talked about, what needs to be done. And he said, I mean, this is something that the additional information that was required, is something that he will submit. I mean, as soon as he gets the word from me that, this is going forward. So, I mean, our grant application is already in the system, has been in the system, and we've been working it and refining it since then.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, I didn't see in what was sent out to me as a reviewing person, that's missing. So it sounds like there's a lot of additional information that I don't have. I'm just reacting to what I actually saw. That's all. That's all.
Thanks, Bruce. There's other hands up.
Kirk Brown, you were next.
Yeah, I was just wondering, two questions here on this the total budget of 43,270. Was that the original budget on last year's grant submission, or does that include the additional bathrooms for staff?
This is a new grant. If you have further questions about the grant, what we need to do is get a motion to approve it. So let me explain. So, Andrew, your total budget would increase by $2,200. Is that correct?
If the original DDF request is restored.
Okay, so what we need to do is have, first of all, a motion on the increase, and then a second. Then we'll have questions. Then we'll vote on that. What I need to know, Andrew, is if your grant increase is denied, is the $43,270 the budget that you have listed on the page? Is that something you could move forward with?
I think we could.
Okay, so it's possible that we could have a second vote on this. If the first vote fails, then we'll come back to the original one. So we need a motion for increasing. Lee, can you calculate that? 43,270 plus 2,200?
Well, it changes, the DDF changes, the World Fund changes the total. I can do that, but I'll need a minute.
Hold on. 43,270 was the original budget. Okay. We then reduced, we did not reduce the original budget. We simply reduced our request by the 4,050. Okay. That is a 12.5% cut. So if that meant, there was a bigger gap between the budget and what was available. That money that we thought we would hope we would be able to raise. I asked about DDF funds from Nepal. None are available. We figured somehow we're going to make it happen. But now that in fact, that original 12.5% cut is not required, I'm asking for a restoration of the original request. That does not change the overall budget. It just means that the gap between what would be available and what we still would have to raise is smaller. And I think that's important in this case, just because we found out that we need to, might have to build an additional toilet. Now, there's also the other side that, in fact, the requirement for boys' toilets are different than now for girls' toilets. In one case, you need a toilet for 25 girls. For boys, we only need a toilet for every 40, as we just found out. That might allow us to reduce the number of boys' toilets and then put that towards, toilets for the staff. But again, these are things we're just now finding out.
So do you want to try to move your grant forward at this meeting with those variables?
Yes.
Okay, so Andrew is asking for DDF, which is what this committee would approve, of $18,000.
Correct.
So I need a motion to approve this grant for DDF for $18,000.
Hey, Tim, this is Julie. Can I just interject something here? It could be that many these other grants coming forward may have the same request as Andrew. And so my suggestion would be that we approve this for the amount that's listed, and then consider after all grants have been reviewed, if there are other clubs that have requests to restore some of their DDF, that we consider that as a whole, so that everyone is treated fairly. Because just because you're the first one on the list doesn't mean necessarily, you understand what I'm saying? So just in the way that we're going to ask at the end of reviewing all of them, any club cash that needs to be raised, perhaps prior to doing that, we could consider which of these grants are requesting a restoration of DDF.
I wholly agree with Julie.
So everyone's treated in a fair fashion.
I
And I
agree.
would say,
Exactly what I would have suggested too.
I agree.
So the
I agree.
I just want to make sure everybody has
Me
a fair
too.
opportunity. This is a very, just so for folks that are new here, we are in new territory now because always in the past we have had sufficient DDF to fund all of the grants that come forward in a given year. But because of the change in TRF policy that we had to spend everything down last year, we are no longer in that position. And just to respond to the concern about lack of detail on the pre-proposal, that is what we have been using for several years now because we don't anticipate or ask that at this point that people would have the entire grant completed. In fact, we discourage people doing that until they come here. So the information that is we think has been necessary for you to approve DDF is included in the pre-application form. And then the complete application is instituted after this meeting. So I'm sorry that it doesn't seem that we have enough information, but we have found in the past that the pre-application form does give adequate information to move forward.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, hearing from the group, I'll
I
entertain a
have one
motion.
more question, Tim, from Paul Spain.
Well, Paul's there and somebody took a hand down. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just one quick question here. This is on the slide that Hal had for clubs that are outstanding reports. I was curious because did I see that Metropolitan Club had an outstanding report that was kind of late, needing to get followed up? Did I see that correctly, Hal? And if that's the case, if Metropolitan is on this report, how does that impact it? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong. I mean, that's been sitting there a long time. That one does not count against us. It's not one that's being tracked by the stewardship department. I do know that in the past that Metro has been working on trying to get that done, and there's some problem with the host club on the other side. So I don't think it should impact our decisions on what we're doing today, but we do need to get it cleaned up and so on.
Thank you. I was curious about that.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Great questions. Okay, I'll entertain a motion, DDF request.
Could I say one more thing, Tim, before we vote on this? Each time we consider whether or not more DDF will be allocated, I want us to look at I want the grant writers to tell us clearly, can this grant, specifically here in Nepal for Washington schools, be fundable by RI and all the requirements at 43,270 with the DDF request as currently requested? Is this a fundable project, Andrew?
When you're saying are you talking about after the cut?
Yeah, now with the figures we're seeing right here on the screen, if you don't get the additional 2250 from our DDF allocation, could this grant be successful and get approved by RI? As far as we know so far.
Well, as I said, I mean, the requirement of the staff toilet sort of added a new wrinkle to the whole thing.
Okay.
All
right, that's information we need to know.
So if this grant isn't fundable at this level, perhaps it should be withdrawn until the October meeting.
I mean,
because if we approve this DDF and the additional DDF is not approved, then the grant's not fundable.
Okay, let me tell you what my counterpart said. My counterpart, I mean, maybe he's just an optimist or whatever, but when I told him of the original cut, he told me that that we can still make this work. Okay, so this is, he's the one who knows the numbers. He knows what's, what goes into it. He understands, I mean, what, where, there might be some savings and so to be achieved. And also, I mean, he has connections with the business community in Kathmandu. And that may well be behind his optimism that he thinks he can raise some extra money there. I mean, as I said, this is not his first rodeo. He has done this a number of times already.
I would just like to, this is Julie again, in reviewing this, the information we got from the host club, this particular Rotarian is extremely experienced in WASH projects in schools, which are complicated. And so, and so Tim, I think this is fundable at that level. What they would need to do is just raise more club cash. The club cash needed here, that may have to be adjusted if there are more demands. But I think the answer would be that the club cash would be additional club cash would be raised to meet the necessary budget. So I personally don't think we should table this. I think that these are questions that come up as folks are submitting from, many times we get input from the reviewer prior to submission that require the club to do some additional work, change the budget. But based on what I saw in this proposal, it's very strong. It has support that for a WASH project in school that I think is exemplary. So I would recommend not tabling this one.
I agree.
But and I will add my voice to that. I'm monitoring the chat here, as many of you are as well. I fall back on district policy. Our guideline is that first come, first serve for DDF, so that is intuitive then that you show up at the first grant meeting, you have a better likelihood of getting your project funded. The district policy also imposes some arbitrary deadlines just because we need to process. So as Cindy had said, we're asked 30 days prior to submit that and start review process internally. Having authored global grants, it is a very dynamic environment. And that's what Andrew is sharing with us, that challenges come up, you get more new information. And this is just the first screen. So having said that, following some of the wisdom in the chat, I would lean into, we look at these proposals as presented, approve them, then at the end come back and have this discussion about, it's just $2,200. We have the DDF, for example. Andrew, I'm supporting you, obviously. And then come back and have another discussion.
I agree. I like that a lot. To circle back, but approve as presented currently, so long as the project could go forward, as Andrew said, it could.
Okay, again, I'm going to ask for a motion for $15,750 of DDF as requested.
I so move.
Would you say your name, please?
Bob Nickel.
Bob, thank you.
Bob. I
I
move.
second.
Who seconds?
Paul.
Paul, thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this grant before we go to a vote? Okay. Post the poll and vote on grant 1, DDF 1.
1. Okay.
1, not 3.
Well, you see my number at the top, Bruce? Number 1, the new grants. Now we're into the new grants.
New grants, and I've cleared it.
Okay.
Okay,
All in. I'm going to end.
share the results.
Yep.
Great.
So this grant is approved at the level on the slide.
15,750 DDF.
Okay. Moving on.
And somebody voted on the wrong poll.
It still is 98%, so we're good.
So this new grant is proposed by the lead club Greater Albany for the consortium in North Valley. And Joe Vincent is the project leader. Joe, would you like to explain this grant to the grant meeting attendees?
Excuse me, it slipped by me here. Yes, the Ukraine medical equipment would go to the Transcarpathian Regional Medical Hospital. Our partner is a club in the Ukraine with whom we have worked recently, and my counterpart in the Rotary Club of Uzhhorod is very experienced with grant writing and has been very responsive to all questions. We've had many exchanges. The medical equipment would be for the intensive care unit at that Transcarpathian Regional Medical Hospital, specifically a bronchoscope, because many of the patients in the intensive care unit have artificial airways and either a tracheotomy or an endotracheal tube. Those occasionally get filled with or become occluded with blood, mucus, other fluids, and there is a lack of equipment at that hospital if they have more than one patient on a ventilator. And so they really need this additional piece of equipment. They've also asked for an additional vital sign monitor that would be used also in the intensive care unit. As our discussions progressed, they asked to add an anesthesia gas machine. Anesthesia is administered currently by a fluid, and that is harder to control. Larger increase of unfortunate incidents. And so the gas anesthesia machine would be used in surgery. There was some equipment connected to that, which is also part of the project budget. We did change the project budget largely on the basis of support, training, and logistics and related. I've had a couple of conversations with my counterpart in Uzhhorod, Ukraine, and he has indicated as recently as yesterday afternoon that they can still fulfill the project with the reduction in District 5110 DDF. So they have also had recently an additional contribution to their club from the, I hope I pronounce this correctly, but the Rotary Club of Košice in Slovakia. So their cash that's available for them as host club cash has increased by about half the amount that we decreased the DDF from District 5110. So it was not quite as big a hint. Obviously, the cost of equipment those are inflexible. They can't go down. But the support for their activity for their grant has been pared back a bit, and they will work around that.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
So,
questions for Joe?
Yes.
Any questions?
Raise your hands, please.
I do have a question. This is Kathy Hoffer. Hi, Joe. Southtown Eugene has a major medical equipment storage facility. We get all the old equipment from Peace Health, Sacred Heart. And we have sent several shipments to Ukraine and would be more than happy for you and your team to come and take a look at the equipment that we have and use some of that equipment to help maybe compensate for any losses that have occurred. But we have amazing equipment. We have beds, we have anesthesia equipment, we have all kinds of monitors, and just contact me about getting access to that.
Thanks, Kathy. Lee, did you have?
Bruce Abernathy, you have your hand raised, sir.
Yeah, so sort of similar to what I had said last time. I mean, I'm looking at what was sent out to the committee and the how will you measure your project's impact, and at least what I'm looking at is completely blank. So I just want to know, is it okay in the future at these meetings that is blank? I'm just confused because I'm a professional grant writer and this would not pass muster in my field.
Cindy?
Well, I'm assuming that this is work in progress on how they're going to monitor the effectiveness of the equipment. Joe, you want to talk about this?
Yes, certainly. I don't think that part was completely blank. Let me turn to that page. We did indicate that we would expect the parties there at the hospital to be monitoring changes in outcomes of surgery, changes in outcome of use of this in the intensive care unit while patients are on using this equipment, and changes in outcome in surgery for patients that are using a gas anesthesia machine as opposed to the current use of fluids. So there will be some specific criteria as they look at their normal ongoing measurement of outcomes from different aspects of medical treatment at the hospital.
Thanks, Joe.
Eric,
Well, there are 7 measures here that were filled out, Bruce. The actual methods, frequency, and beneficiaries are not.
I mean that's what I'm talking about. I don't
Yeah,
understand why those are blank.
I think it's about first time around the block here for Joe. And just we need to give him some grace on this, but some very technical measures have been presented. The other thing that's different about this, something that I learned, is that the host club is actually writing the grant. So this is omission by the host club. And you're right, Bruce, this should be filled in. It's just, sorry, it should be filled in. I mean, you're right. But I think it's the difference in communication between host club, our requirements at District 5110, and the fact that they're going to be writing the grant. Does that help, Joe?
Yes, I think in fact, they've included a number of experts, authorities at the hospital being serviced here, who are several of whom are members of the Ujharad Rotary Club. And so they've assured me that these statistics for mortality, et cetera, are normal statistics that they have historically gathered. And they would continue doing that with this new equipment or updated equipment and have that data available for review after they've had this in progress for a year.
Okay. Julie, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Bruce, just to allay your fears in this area. When you actually go into the actual application, these measurements are pre-populated. So there's certain things that are listed in the area of focus that you have several different goals to choose from. We always recommend that people don't do more than 3 because of the data collection impact of that. So once you go into the actual application, those things are pre-populated and the methodology also comes up with that. So it's based on the goal. So we can't do that in our application because we don't have that level of sophistication in our pre-proposal form. But when you're actually in the grant center working on yours, you will see that those things come up and you choose the ones that you want to use, and then they tell you what you need to do to meet that goal.
So Eric, before I call on you, I also want to mention that our grant are not grant proposals, they're pre-proposals, and that the district does not approve this grant. It's up to the Rotary Foundation to approve the grant. We're just asking to approve the DDF so that the club sponsoring the grant can move forward and gather all that information. What I'm hearing is from Bruce anyway, that he would like more information provided on these grants. And I'll talk to Cindy and DRFC Rick, and we'll take a look at what we're doing and see if there's a way that we might provide a little more information if that would be helpful.
Thank you, Tim. And I want to be clear. That's not exactly what I'm asking for. I just want I want to know what level of detail is appropriate. It looks to me like the Central Oregon Global Grant, we clearly provided more information than was required. And so we'll adjust that going forward. I think my question is, I thought that we had to provide this level of information back by June 11th. So I would have thought there would have been more information by this time. But again, that's probably a mistake on our part and we'll adjust going forward. So I'm not necessarily saying we need more information. I just would have thought there would have been, given that there was a June 11th pre-requirement. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Eric?
I have more of a comment, I think. You talked about in making the adjustments, you scaled back in the training and support area. And I think there's a caution there because when you get to the Rotary Foundation, I think they lean in on that pretty heavily in terms of the sustainability of the project, in terms of getting the equipment installed and people trained so that they can use it properly, et cetera, et cetera. So even though you're, quote, scaling it back some, try to make it sound like it's really still going to be very functional and will support sustainability.
Thanks, Eric.
If I may add, the people who are going to be using this equipment are experts in the use of, they are anesthesiologists and nurses who normally staff the intensive care unit. So I think the pledge, according to the host club, that they are going to have training provided by the supplier of the equipment. And the students for that will be doctors and nurses who currently perform anesthesia or treat people in the intensive care unit. That raises our level of comfort that they'll be able to find a way to manage that aspect. But I do appreciate that in many of the global grants that are proposed, there is a very strong issue with both maintenance and outcomes. Specifically to Bruce Abernathy, the last item, and I've got several columns filled in, boxes filled in for things that will be measured as under project overview. But the last item is monitoring the implementation results, numbers of procedures, reductions in ICU stay duration, and clinical outcomes. And those, as I said before, are already things that are measured in this institution. So they'll simply see or look to be seeing an improvement in those statistics.
Thank you, Joe. I think it's time that we take a motion on this. Somebody want to move the $13,475 at PDF?
I move approval. This is Chuck Root.
Thanks, Chuck.
I second.
Who's that?
Paul Sean.
Okay, Paul, thanks. So Lee, will you post the poll?
I would be happy to.
After the vote on this grant, we'll take a short 5-minute break so people can refill their coffee or use the facility or whatever.
So tell them which one they're using.
So they're using number 2. Vote on number 2, please. Okay, sure. So this grant DDF request has been approved.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Really nice job, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, one more grant and then a break. Ashland Lithia Springs.
So this grant has been proposed by Mark Allen. Mark, would you like to explain the grant to the group?
Okay, basically this project is a literacy project, and it involves providing literacy training and associated materials to 15 libraries in rural, high Andes, rural Peru. Our club had a chance to actually visit with the host Rotary Club, the Miraflores Rotary Club in Lima, that's helping us manage this project. And we also got a chance to visit several of the sites to better understand what was involved in the training, that there was in fact community engagement, that it will in fact provide ongoing training, because all the librarians in the 15 libraries in these rural areas will be trained up as literacy trainers. So it will be an ongoing impact in the community. The initial estimate is somewhere between 500 and 700 children will receive literacy training. And this is in communities where 100% of the grandparents basically are illiterate, and about 90% of the parents are illiterate. So it's going to be a major improvement and shift to the prospects for the children in those communities. This is a consortium project for the Rogue Valley, 8 clubs in Rogue Valley, and our club is the administrator for the project.
Are there questions for Mark? This is a unique grant in that the International Club has pledged $8,000. That's significant. Other questions, comments?
We're the National Club.
Kirk?
Okay.
Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve $16,000 DDF for this grant.
Leanne, I so move.
Okay, so
Need a second.
Yeah,
I second.
Second.
Got it. Thank you.
any other further comments or questions? Okay, we'll post a poll. This is grant 3, DDF 3.
Last second. I'm ending it.
Motion carries. This grant will be funded.
Congratulations.
We'll take a 5-minute break and come back to grant 4.
The glasses.
Cindy, may I add one thing? Or Tim?
Yeah, Joe.
I just want to give credit where credit is due. And this proposal for Ukrainian medical equipment comes from a collaborative group we've named CG3 for Collaborative Global Grant Group, which consists of all clubs are eligible in Lynn, Benton, Lincoln County.
Yeah.
We have so far 5 clubs that have each pledged $1,000 each, and so the remaining funds will come from other clubs within this collaborative.
Sure.
So credit goes to Rotary Club of Albany, Rotary Club of Greater Albany, Rotary Club of Corvallis, Rotary Club of Greater Corvallis, and the Rotary Club of Florence. Just wanted to give everybody credit.
Wonderful. Thanks for the information.
Tim, I just sent you a chat.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yep. Thank you, Hal. Okay, I think it's time to get back after it.
We need Cindy back.
Cindy's not back yet?
There she
There it is. All right. Cindy, so I'll turn it over to you again.
All right, thanks, Tim. This fourth grant is presented by the Central Oregon Consortium Lead Club Redmond Rotary. Sorry for the misspelling of Rotary, my goodness. And Paul Spain is the project leader. Paul, take it away.
Trying to think, Rory, who's the anyhow? Hey, well, thanks a lot. So this is only going to take me about 45 minutes. So get comfortable. No, I'm just teasing y'all. So I want to give just a little bit of background about how this project became to our attention. I first met my contact there and my twin brother, Dennis Magara, in Singapore. I met him prior to being on the RFE team to Uganda in Kampala and Fort Portal. I was on that team there this last March. Visited, stayed with them there, and actually went to the school which this project was going to be taking place at, which is over in Fort Portal, Uganda. Karambi Primary School is a government-aided mixed day school in Karambi Ward, North Division, Fort Portal. It was established in 1958. It has an enrollment of 723 pupils, 412 girls, 311 boys, and 16 staff members. And that's taken from a document that I was given by the school when we were there back this last March. Being a primary school, it is equivalent to our elementary school here, and that it deals with, in your primary level 1, it's with kids that are ages 6 to 7, and then primary 7, it's 12 to 13, and after that they go to secondary schools after that. Although this is our first experience with dealing with a project of this magnitude, this nature, this is certainly not the first project that the Caraboli Club has had experience with. They've been successful in conducting 2 previous wash projects through International. You'll see that in hopefully you've read that in our proposal there. They have done it in sanitation and situation, I can't pronounce it, in district where they provided safe drinking water and sanitation facilities in the community there, and at a teacher's college. You can see that on our submission, so I'm not going to bore you with reading that overall. They're collaborating with an organization called Rest Africa. Rest Africa is based in Fort Portal. They are a development organization that works with schools, local governments, and community stakeholders to improve access to education, water and sanitation services, health, and sustainable livelihoods. We have a copy of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Bethany Engineering Company, which they have already obtained these proposals for the construction of the latrines that are there. And I wanted to share with you just really quickly, hopefully this will come out okay. That's what the latrines look like now. Okay. You can see them a little bit there. I've visited them there. As you can tell, they're rather dilapidated and certainly need some attention there. That's what the kids have and the teachers have to deal with. So they have an issue with teachers as well as students attending the school because of the lack of sanitary conditions there overall. It's a pretty significant project. We are going to be, we've taken this as carved it out of a global grant application that they did and submitted to Rotary Foundation for improvements for the school for both their computer labs as well as the school itself. We carved out the wash part of it there just to deal with this one section of it there that we felt comfortable taking on for the first time for submitting something of this nature. So that's what we got.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Questions for Paul?
And by the way, when I say Dennis and I are twin brothers, I didn't say we're identical. Because obviously between a Ugandan and a guy, that's a little different. I say that because we both wear glasses, we're the same height, we're Rotarians, we both like to do volunteer work. And so he's a great, Dennis and I have developed a great friendship. They have been extremely good about providing us with information as we have needed it to be able to put together this proposal law. And he and I talk all the time. So we have a great relationship with them. I have every intention of going back to Uganda to visit them again and to follow up on this project. So
Great.
I'm very impressed with the host club cash and the District 9213 DDF contributions, much like what Joe Vincent did in his grant. So great job there.
thank you.
Questions, comments?
Nothing in chat.
Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve $12,210 in DDF?
I
I so
move.
moved. Kirk
Oh.
Brown. Kirk Brown moves. We
Okay,
accept
Kurt,
this.
thank you. Second?
Second, Michelle from Rotary Club of Albany.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. You want to post this?
I shall post.
We will put up poll 4. So you may have to scroll up on the poll to get to number 4. Yeah, so scroll up to get to poll 4.
Or down.
Or whichever way it needs to
Yeah, I
go.
had to go both ways. Yeah.
Okay, that's it, 41.
Going once, going twice.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yay, thank you, everybody.
Approved.
Hey, congratulations, Paul.
I have to say that we started off with 41 people voting, and we still have 41 people voting. So I really appreciate you hanging in there to hear all these great projects.
Me also.
All right, Cindy.
And our last new grant proposal comes out of the Rotary Club of Eugene, a VTT project. I love VTT projects. I believe one of the two Susans, Susan Segal or Susan Dunn, is going to present for us.
Yes, this is Susan Siegel. Actually, both Susans will be co-presenting, if that's okay.
Perfectly okay.
Right. And Bob, did you want to say a word before I start, or should I just jump in?
Just go right ahead, Susan.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Bob. Well, this is Susan from the Eugene Rotary Club, and I'm super excited to talk to you about our vocational training project, and it's called Inclusive Peace Building, Disabled People as Change Makers. And as many of us know, during war, disabled people a lot of times become disabled. And what's really exciting about this innovative project is we're going to be talking about people with disabilities as being someone who can actually affect change and be on the forefront of being a change maker. And I'm a wheelchair rider myself, so this project has a very special place in my heart. And as you can see from our proposal, we are very excited that we will be bringing 8 amazing disabled peace building activists, and they will be coming right here to Eugene in October from Pakistan, Armenia, Brazil, Ethiopia, El Salvador, Nigeria, the Philippines, and Nepal. And we will be using a train the trainer model so that after receiving the training, all these people will be going back to their home communities and they will be then training others. So really increasing the number of people who will be effective. The other thing why I'm so excited about this project is this project will really bring together people with disabilities who are leaders in the peace building field, but also connect them with humanitarian and international development organizations in that area. We also plan to be making some videos, so we will actually be creating some new tools that can be used by the peace centers, the Rotary peace centers that we know are so amazing all over the world. And again, I think part of my excitement stems from the fact that we've had the opportunity to share some of these ideas already with some of the folks, Renee at the Rotary Foundation, and we know that they're really excited about this project as well and feel like it's really innovative. There's so many things I could tell you about this project, but I really want to be careful about time. And just to say that we think that this is a project because sometimes, when you talk about peace building, everyone can always gather around about the importance of disabled people being part of all the communities in the world. And a lot of times people with disabilities can really be that common thread where there's conflict in the world, that people with disabilities and assisting people with disabilities is the things that can bring people together. I know I personally have done some work in Sarajevo and Bosnia where this was a fact, and I'm so excited that we'll actually be able to see the effect of this project here in Eugene, and then we will be following all these amazing peacemakers as they go back to their communities. So I'm going to turn it over. I also want to thank all of you who've already reached out and committed to this project. It's been really very amazing and motivating. And I'm going to turn it to what we're saying, the two Susans. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, the other Susan, to give you some more information.
Hello, everyone, and thanks, Susan. I just wanted to add a few more things. Cindy, you have your hand up. I don't know if you have a question, but we'll definitely take questions. First, the grant. We did talk to the grants officer at the Rotary Foundation about this project, and she was very excited and gave us very positive feedback. The only thing she recommended with our application was to confirm our training team. So we're, since it's a train the trainer model, we'll have a team of expert trainers, and we have confirmed our training team, and it will be 5 experts in peace building. The majority are disabled women, but it also includes men and with and without disabilities. And they're representing different international organizations like the United Nations Disability Inclusion Team, UN Women, the Rotarian Action Group for Peace. I think Al Jubitz is a Rotarian up in Portland who we talked to, who was excited about this. He was a recent speaker at the district conference in Eugene. And then we also have Mobilizing Allies for Women, Peace and Security. And then my organization, MIUSA, Mobility International USA, we have also done work in peace building. And then the budget, just to touch on that, we are planning to keep it at the reduced budget, but the 12.5% reduced budget. So we're not asking for additional DDF at this meeting, but the budget would cover travel expenses for the 8 leaders who come to Eugene for the training, and that includes disability accommodations. We'll have the meals and transportation. And as Susan mentioned, we'll be creating some new resource materials, including a short video, and we'll some of our training team experts will get stipends to be on the training team, but some have generously offered to do it pro bono. And we'll also have host families who will be hosting the delegates when they're here. So that will be at no cost to the project. So we have a lot of community support. And then finally, to replicate what they're learning when they go back to their local communities, they'll have some of the funds to do that, to do their trainings at the local level. So they'll be reaching hundreds more people with disabilities in those 8 countries and other peace building stakeholders. So I just also want to reiterate our appreciation for all the clubs and individuals who've pledged support so far for this project. We also, our international club that is in Armenia, and they were very excited and pledged support for the project. Also, their district pledged support as well. And then that brings us to, we're over halfway to our club cash goal, which was about 13,000, and our request for DDF is, as it says on the screen, 26,250. So we only need like 6,550 at this moment. We got pledges as of yesterday too. So 6,550 left to raise. And then we'll meet our total funding goal and have the total budget. So I will stop there and open for questions if anyone has any.
Let me just jump in really quick.
Comment.
On the slide, the international club and the host club are reversed.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We are the host club here, and the Armenia is the international club.
Right, right.
Oh,
No.
Yeah,
Really?
our project is a little bit flipped because we're hosting in the US, and then one of our participants is coming from Armenia, so she reached out to the Rotary Club there, and they were willing to be our international partner since that's required for global grants.
Right, that's correct. Thank you, Susan. I apologize. I'm having a technical issue with my iPad, so I'm off camera, but I am here. Yes, yes. So yeah, thank you, and thank you, Bob, for that.
Actually, Susan, you are on camera.
Oh, good. Well, that's that. Then I'm glad it's working.
You're moving the camera around though.
I know I had to re-plug in, so my apologies.
Cindy?
yeah, I just have, I wanted to confirm the club cash that you need. So 6550, is that correct? Is that what
Correct.
Okay. Secondly, will there be opportunities for Rotary members to come to a portion of the training and listen in? I mean, it must be pretty incredibly fascinating.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
go ahead, Susan.
Yes, so we have invited clubs from all over Oregon since the training is happening here in Eugene. There will be sessions you'll be invited to. It's a 9-day event, so there will be various opportunities for Rotarians to come either volunteer or just to be observers and come and just watch the training happen.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, and this is Susan Siegel. I really encourage any of you who can to come because the people who are coming, their bios are amazing, and we will be translating into sign language, and I think you will really be moved. One of the people from Pakistan told me about some of the work that he's doing where people who've been affected by bombs, maybe people have become amputees or blind from terrorism, and they, as people with disabilities, are doing a lot of peer counseling with them, so they realize that your life can go on as a quadriplegic or a paraplegic or a blind person. So I think it's going to be a very powerful and a very emotional training, but I think it perhaps is going to be one of the most innovative trainings, and I really am hoping that we'll be able to share this with all the Rotary clubs around the world, and really maybe have an effect on how peace building is viewed, and seeing disabled people as not only as the beneficiaries of services, but as the leaders. So we're super excited about this. So thank you. We hope you will join us. And also we'd be happy afterwards to come to the clubs, your clubs, either in person or by Zoom. And after the project is over, to tell you about the impact that it's had, because we really feel it's only happening with the support of Rotarians like all of you. So thank you.
wow.
Oh.
Yes, please do advertise those opportunities widely. I think there'll be a lot of members who are really interested. Thanks, Susan and Suze. Yeah. Thanks.
Julie has a question or comment.
Yep. Julie.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to emphasize two things about this particular project that are unique. Many times in helping shepherd people through global grants, they always say, well, why can't we have a global grant happening in the United States? And so this is one that is happening in the United States, and that's why they are the host club, not the international club. And the other thing is, we keep saying VTT, but I want to make sure people understand that's vocational training team. That is a unique type of global grant with a unique set of circumstances. And so when I consulted with both Susans, I recommended that they call Renee Reiling, since Renee is our regional grants officer here in our area. And she is very enthusiastic about this. I know you mentioned that, but she felt like this has a very tight timeline, this particular grant proposal, and she felt that that it could definitely get approved in enough time. So I just wanted to point those things out. That the other thing is that we have not had many peace building grants in our district, and so I think this kind of paves the way for more interest in this particular topic, because I think we all understand right now in the world that we live in, building peace becomes more and more essential. So anyhow, I think this just got some really unique characteristics for our district.
Thanks, Julie.
Comments? I'm open for a motion.
Andrew?
Okay. Second?
Robbie?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we vote? All right, so this would be number 5. I don't see it.
People see it, they're voting.
Scroll down.
Approved.
Okay, last moment, I'm gonna call it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I echo Julie, Renee had reached out to me just to let me know to watch out for this because she's very excited for you guys on this project. Well done.
Thank you.
So Cindy, you want to take it over for those clubs, the 2 clubs that need cash?
So we need cash and then we need the DDF for Andrew.
Well, we'll do cash first.
Right. So let's start with the wash project in Nepal. They're needing $5,420 in club cash. Is that correct, Andrew?
Hold on. Yes.
So all the clubs that would like to donate to this project and help fill the void on club cash, how should we work this, Tim? Have them put it in the chat, or
Should that be the best? Put it in chat. We're monitoring that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll capture. If we just want to speed it up, they can just raise their hands and you can call on them and they can say name, club, and the amount, and I will record it for you.
Before we do that, can I just make one comment? Just want to point out to everybody that if your club has allocated money towards global grants this year, this may be your last opportunity to do that. We had so many grants come forward right now. It looks as though we will still have some DDF at the end, either way that the vote on Andrew's project, how that goes. But if your club has money set aside to support other clubs' grants, you may want to consider, even if you need to you still need to go and get board approval, or you need to do, maybe making a commitment now, because you may not have an opportunity later in this year. So just want to encourage you all to be generous.
Well said, Julie.
Is anything coming in? I don't see anything coming in the chat.
Nope.
Okay, clubs can at any time contact Andrew for the money.
Or Eugene Metro, and help them out.
Oh, here we go. Medford Road will give $500 to each of the 2 grants. That's awesome.
So we'll take donations to the second grant, to the peace building grant now.
Yes, the peace building grant needs $6,550 in club cash to meet their budget.
Yes. Thank you.
It's like the first time. Okay, again, you can contact Susan if you or your club would like to pledge. It doesn't necessarily have to be clubs. If you have a donor advised fund for yourself, or if you'd like to contribute your own cash toward any of these projects that are presented on these meetings, you're welcome to do that as well.
Yes, individual Rotary member contributions are counted as club cash. and as contributions to
Rotary Foundation.
the Rotary Foundation. Bruce.
Thanks again. This first time here, so this is awesome that clubs are pledging at this point. What happens if they don't make the amount that is needed?
Well, there's the clubs, once their DDF is approved, clubs have 6 months to apply to the Rotary Foundation with their finalized budget. So clubs have time after this meeting for the next period of time, several months, to raise that cash.
Thanks, Tim.
And Bruce, just as an aside, clubs don't collect the cash that's been pledged until their project is approved.
Okay.
All right.
So let's move on then to the request for additional DDF from for the WASH project in Nepal. Andrew Werner is requesting an additional 2250 in district DDF to bring them back to the 18,000 that they originally needed to make their project successful. We've heard from him.
Before we vote, Cindy, do you or Hal have the total DDF that's requested today and the difference between how much we have?
What we started the morning with and then what we've already committed today.
Tim, you have 11,412 left.
Thank you, Hal.
If I could just say a word, it's finding out about the new requirement about separate facilities for the staff that basically prompted me to request a restoration of this, of the cut. That's something we learned only after, we had the program officer vet our proposal. So again, that's my argument.
Okay, thank you. So is there a motion to present this 2250 to the group?
Leanne, so
I move that we submit, I move that we allocate the DDF plus the DDF.
Okay,
I
Julie.
second.
Who's that?
Paul.
Paul, thank you.
Yeah.
And then it
Second.
looks like we have further comment from Bruce.
Cover that. I'm gonna be voting no. Not that it's not a good project, but to me, you're taking away from DDF in October. So that's why I'm voting no.
Okay. Any other comments before we vote? We want to vote on DDF 6. So all those in favor? All those opposed?
What are we voting for? Which one?
We're voting for number 6 for 2250 to the first grant in Nepal.
Additional DDF.
The numbers dropped. Okay, any other votes?
No, we're done. Got them all in. There you go.
All right, so the 2250 has been approved. So Andrew, you'll have to adjust your budget when you apply to.
I'll happily do so. Thank you very much, everyone.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. And this is Susan. Is it okay then for us to, on the peace building project, to reach out to the clubs again about the additional funds we still need? Is that appropriate?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So again, if any of your clubs, we'd love to, even if it's like $500 or 100 or any amount, we'd love to, because we are committed to making this project work. So thank you all for your consideration, and we hope that we'll be hearing from some of you. So thank you for this opportunity. And I just wanted, since you talked so much about the Rotary Foundation, I just also wanted to mention that I was a recipient of a Rotary Graduate Fellowship for a year. And so just want again to send my appreciation to all those who support all the amazing things that Rotary Foundation does. So just wanted to add that. So thank you.
So Cindy, do you have any closing thoughts?
Tim, before you do that, I just want to make sure I've got the numbers right. So the wash in schools goes to 18,000 DDF, is that correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And they have enough, more than enough club cash pledge to meet that requirement. I just want to say once again that all the grants presented are really valuable service to those in need around the world. And I appreciate all the incredible effort that grant writers and their teams put together in order to get these grants approved. The real work is ahead of you. Julie and I are both here to help you. I'm the grants chair, but Julie loves this, and so I know Julie will help us out should we run into problems. Leanne Mobley and Tim are also here to help you with the details of getting your grants approved. I highly recommend, if you have not, to reach out to your grants management officer for now, if you have not already, to get a preliminary review before you go to all the work of writing your grant. And if you don't know who your grant management officer is, I will help you find the name and the contact information. If I don't know, I'll contact Leanne. She'll know. Leanne, looks like you have something to say.
I always. And I will put in a plug, particularly for those who are first-time grant writers, is to use the cadre. There are 700 cadre members who have, levels of expertise in all the 7 areas of focus. I will admit to you that they're not all created equal. Nobody on this call is in that basket, but I've got a contact there, and I will make sure that you get a really good cadre member to review your grant and support you through that process. They go through a lot quicker. So you've got a ton of people on your team to make this happen.
So Rick, DRFC Rick, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, just want to say how incredible it is to watch this whole thing work, and for the 46 people that took their Saturday morning to be here. But kudos to you guys, to the whole grant side of the team. It'll inspire the rest of us to get out there and help raise money so we can do this again. So thanks everybody from my perspective.
Thank you. Bruce?
Thank you.
DG Bruce, are you still here?
Tim, how in the world did you do this on time? Amazing.
Tim, was that question to me?
Yes. You have any closing thoughts, Bruce?
No, thank you all. This has been an amazing experience, as it always has been. And, I just, as I had with my opening comments, it's just to share the passion with your clubs and others, to let you know that what you're doing does get noticed, and it does inspire others. So, thank you so much for the heart that you put into making this. This is, as Bruce Abernathy said, this is an amazing experience to watch happen. So thank you all.
Thank you, Bruce.
Somebody's got their hand up called Zoom user. Who is that?
Yeah, it's Michelle from Rotary Club of Albany. I'm looking at the slide that's on the screen, and it says October 3rd with an asterisk. What does that mean?
Well, there's 2 meetings that day. And I've got another slide that's coming up. So there's the next grant meeting will be in person at SOU in Ashland on October 3rd. Registration for that will be coming out sometime next week. And the reason we have registration, more importantly for in-person meetings, is I've already ordered lunches. And so we need to know how many people are going to be there so I can either increase or decrease that number. And the lunch at the meetings is going to be the typical box lunch, which is a sandwich or a salad. So that information will be coming out shortly. The next slide is about our Rotary Foundation dinner that we have annually. Will be at the Rogue Valley Country Club. We always have excellent speakers. We have celebrations by recognizing donors. We will have a 5 o'clock social and a 6 p.m. dinner. The challenge for dinners is always people's dietary restrictions for whatever reason.
Are you looking at me?
Yes. So we will have a buffet, and it looks like we'll have some salmon and some chicken and a vegetarian option. So we're very excited. It's a wonderful venue and looking forward to being with people. I want to just for a second go back to President of Rotary International, Inca's creating lasting impact, this year's slogan. And I can't think, almost tearing up here, I can't think of more impact than what we have done today. Not only in the global grants that are happening in peace and water, but also in the 44 district grants that are happening within our district, in our own communities. Only 2 or 3 of those are international grants. The rest are happening here. They impact community improvement, students through scholarships, through RILA, and through food programs on the weekends. So those people that donate, we know are members for life, and we really appreciate the difference that you make.